Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. This is Twana, your host, and tonight I'm going to be talking about the beginning of it all. Yeah, I am going to tell you a little bit about how I first got started years ago on internet radio and the pitfalls, the downfalls, the branding. And I'm going to make this a little bit of a series because a lot of people, just like me, when you first start out with everything, you kind of don't know where to begin. And especially if you're starting out all by yourself and you don't have the right help, it can seem overwhelming. It can seem like a lot. And a lot of people don't like to share that information because sometimes, people can get a little, I don't know what the right word is, maybe uncomfortable sharing that information because they don't want to, seem ignorant of certain things. They want it to seem like it's all perfect and everything. And the reality is nobody's perfect and we all make mistakes, but with a little bit of help and knowing the truth about this stuff, we can help other people not make the same mistakes that we did, if we just educate people on this. And so I am going to begin with sharing my experiences when I first got started on Blog Talk Radio. I had no idea about internet radio. Nobody told me, and I began listening to other people on internet radio. And it was exciting to me because, of course, with mainstream radio, I've always listened to it, ever since I was a kid. And I can't even really remember how I stumbled upon internet radio, but it excited me. Now, since I was a kid, let me just say, being in high school, I was enamored with the internet, being able to reach out to people, from different parts of the world, learning how to use, email and learning how to use computers. It was all exciting to me. So I've always had that love for computers and the internet, never wanting to know, the inside workings of it or anything like that, but the internet itself and just being able to talk to people, from everywhere or anywhere was just exciting. And so I, over the years, grew this want and this need to develop networks and to help people, to talk to people, build support groups, build ways that I could share information with different people. And so, as an adult, fast forwarding to living in Texas a few years back, I thought, what a neat thing. And I saw an ad one day for a co-hosting job, and I thought, this is neat. I wonder, what it takes. And when I applied for the position, I made mention that I had no experience at all, but, I just wanted to talk to someone to see, what it takes. Even if I didn't get the job, I just thought it was, really neat. So they gave me a chance, and I kind of, slid into it and kind of bounced off of, them knowing that, you can't have any dead air. So someone has to be talking all the time and taking breaks for music and this, that, and the other. And it was me and a few other people on the air, and there has to be a rhythm and a flow. And eventually I started my own podcast on Blog Talk Radio, and it was fun for me because, I got to map out how I wanted my shows to go. And, over the period, a few weeks, it became easy, for me. And it was just natural. And I thought, this is great. I wish this was a real career. I wanted to get paid for it. And of course, there's monetization, which, they will offer you, 45 cents per ad and, this, that, and the other. Now, Blog Talk Radio is completely different from when I first started because, you have to pay There's no, there's a free, period, but it's not a lot of airtime. And if you want to get the airtime that we were getting, 10 years ago, you're going to pay a substantial amount. So, over the years, things have changed. And, you'll see that, even with, different companies like Spreaker, you will pay, for the time that you used to get, 10 years, 15 years ago, where it used to be free, they'll cut you maybe 5 hours of time for free. It's kind of like a trial period. And then after that, if you want more time, you'll pay $12 or $20 a month or, something like that. And so, it's a great way to get your feet wet. And then if you really want to take it to the next level. But by that time, it's almost like, okay, if you're really good at this and if you really want to take this to the next level, you should have sponsors. And back in the day, nobody was explaining, how to get these sponsorships and how to get people to give you money for what you're doing. And that was the first mistake because, when you're in it, you're really honing in on the show. And one of the things that I tell people now in 2019 is that getting affiliate marketing up and running before you even air your first show is important. Building a great email list and getting customers and not having to dig into your savings account or dig into your regular, money. If you have a full-time job, whether you work from home or whether you go outside of the home to work or whatever, your full-time career is at the moment. If you have that, not to dig into, your first income. If you're wanting to podcast or have internet radio as a second income, then you want to start that off with something like affiliate marketing, or, putting feelers out there for, people who have stores or they, sell makeup or they sell, shoes or, whatever they do. Maybe if you want to sell ads, and get people to advertise on your podcast and telling them the benefits of, advertising with you so that you don't have to go into, your first stream of income to fund your podcast, because that's defeating the purpose. You're defeating the purpose of, your plan. If you are planning on your podcast to be your side hustle or your second stream of income. So you don't want to do that. And it was hard to get people to share that information when I first got started because everybody was, trying to make it, and so it was like, I want to, up my, podcast. I want to get more airtime and, you would get paid from your first job and then you would, pay your bills and your podcast would be the other bill. And pretty soon you've been on the air for 5 years and, you're still doing the same thing and it's not a side hustle, it's another bill. And so you don't want to do that. You definitely want to have some avenues to where this is lucrative for you. And so I had to learn that, I'm offering something that is valuable. It's not just, entertainment value, but it's valuable to someone. So if my podcast is about sports, it's valuable to someone who loves sports. But at the same time, my, income side is that I have affiliate marketing that's related to, sports. It's related to what I'm talking about. And I'm selling ads, from people who are, are sports related. Maybe there's a mom and pop shop that, sells sporting goods, and so forth and so on. And there's also could be people that sell sporting goods online. And, that's really awesome when you can connect with people who sell things online and can ship all over the world. Those are great, sponsorships. And that's what people should be looking at if you're going to podcast or do internet radio, looking for those, people, and not trying to take advantage of them, but maybe you can sell them a $10 spot or $15 spot, not charging them an arm and a leg, and, giving them, 30 seconds or 60 seconds, of, airtime to do a little commercial for them. And you can do the same thing with YouTube, and you can do the same thing, with your internet feed or your social media feeds as well. So say if you have a pretty big Instagram following or Snapchat following or Twitter following, selling ad space or what we call shout outs, you can do that because you have a pretty big following. And so if someone is selling, edible fruits, or if they're selling, clothing or jewelry that can be shipped all over the world, it would benefit the seller to advertise with you because your following is much bigger than theirs. And so, to pay $10, $15, $20, a month to advertise with you because you have the following makes sense. And then maybe you will have, 10 or 20 or 30 clients, that adds up. And so, that's where you get that income from. And so now you have monetization without having to have the 1,000 people on YouTube. You've just monetized, your business, or without having to have a certain amount of people on your podcast. You just monetized your station or your Twitter or, your Instagram or whatever. So if you're going to be on the internet anyway, there's a way to make the money. If you're not good in sales and you don't, have a big following, or there's something that you're thinking, oh, this is going to, stifle me right now, you can still put feelers out there. You can still, chance it. Build a website. I use Wix. Wix is a really great website. People look at my website every day. I look at my analytics. And if I'm selling ad space on my website, I've monetized my website because my website gets traffic. And so then I'm talking about my website on my social media and YouTube. And when I'm on my YouTube and social media, I'm talking about my website. And what that does is that makes people curious. And then they go to my website and they look around and they see what I have to offer, but they're also looking at the people who have purchased ad space. And the audiences grow. So you have a YouTube audience and an Instagram audience and a Snapchat audience and a Twitter audience and a podcast audience. And some of these people will rotate around because they're becoming fans, but not all of these people are the same. So you have different audiences that you are building. And these people may have different things, but they may have some of the same things in common. And so you may be advertising makeup on one, outlet, and then you may be doing clothes on another. You may be doing, makeup on another. You may be doing sporting goods on another. You may be doing master classes on another. You may have a collection of all these things on your website. And organization is key on your website. One click will get you where you need to go. And people value that they can go to your website, one-stop shop, click it, I'm there. And, they see the proper ads and they get the information they need. People love giveaways. If you're doing a giveaway on your podcast or your social media, they love that as well. And a lot of people, think, oh my God, I have to give something away. You're not going to give away, the whole shebang. If you're a life coach, for example, you're not going to give away a full hour, maybe 15 minutes, a 15-minute consultation, and make it really good. And you make it worth the client's while so that they become a regular client, so that they feel like they got something of value out of that 15 minutes. and that makes them want to come back, and that makes them want to listen to the podcast or watch you or listen to you on YouTube. It makes them not want to miss your next post on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever you're doing. And so those are the things that for me really stuck out when I first came to the internet and I wanted a career online that nobody was telling me. These are things that now I jot it down. I keep it in my traveler's notebook. And, sometimes I'm repetitive. If I think, ooh, did I think of that before? Or did I think of that for this avenue or this channel or this, social media outlet? And so I know I have some things written in my traveler's notebook, over and over. But it's better to do that than to not think about it at all, because each outlet is so different. You take Twitter, for instance, it's constantly moving. It never stops. So sometimes it's good to be repetitive on Twitter. And of course, you can't post the exact same thing twice, but rewording something, even so much as a period, and a space makes a big difference. If you want to say something, more than once or more than twice, and using hashtags makes a big difference on Twitter, because people search hashtags on Twitter all the time. They click hashtags as well. And so using those hashtags and having people find, different things that you're talking about really makes a difference. You're searchable, and following people that are in your line of work. The census says that you should follow about 10 people a day if you can, that are in your line of work or close to it. So again, using life coaching for an example, or if you're a cook, or if you're, a chef, or if you're a teacher of a specific thing like science or math, following some of those people, up to 10 a day, if you can, find 10 people, in that arena with you, and, following them and seeing what they're doing and watching their steps and seeing if they're successful, looking at how many followers they have. And before I actually follow someone, I always look at how many followers they have. And then I look at their Twitter feed to see, what they're doing to be that successful. And those are the people that I like to follow. And then when I follow them and then I look at their pattern, and then, I don't copy exactly what they say, but, I create a pattern to see if it works for me. And then if I find success from that, I make a note of it, and I write down, this is a good pattern. This worked, today. And so it helps. And then if you follow someone, like that, then other people that have followed them will take notice using hashtags that they use as well. And so you now become a part of the algorithm that, now you're in there. So when people are looking for them, you're going to come up in that feed as well. And they're going to see you and go, oh, they're in the same bracket. They're in the same line of work. And so you have a better chance of being followed. The same thing with Instagram. In your bio, you want to create hashtags there so that you come up when people are searching for a baker or a baseball player or a makeup artist. You want to be in that number. So when people are looking, and Instagram is visual, same as YouTube, it's visual. And so, people are going to stop and they're going to click on your stuff, and you want your Instagram feed, for example, to be about your work, not about your kids, not about your husband and how cute he is, not about the new car that you just purchased or anything, but you want it to display what you're showcasing, your work, your traveler's notebooks, or your makeup, or, if you have 2 or 3 things that you're doing, you can go one or two ways. You can create an Instagram account for each one of those, or you can collectively do it on one Instagram account by spacing out what you've got going on. So let's say Mondays you're all about makeup that day, and then Tuesday you're all about traveler's notebooks, and then Wednesday you're all about teaching people how to use social media or whatever. And so you get a pattern going. And so your Instagram feed will look like that. So you'll have 3 rows of makeup, and then 3 rows of traveler's notebooks, and then 3 rows of, inspiration, or whatever. And so every day, people, look for you, because a lot of people will take their planners or traveler's notebooks or whatever, and they will write down, oh, Twana, she's going to be posting Instagram stuff about how to use YouTube. So today I don't want to miss that. She starts posting about 3 o'clock. People actually write that down. So if you start to schedule yourself, which is a good tip, you should write down scheduling yourself, because people take notice of that. And if you post it on social media, when you're going to be online. And Instagram, it wasn't, out back then, like 15 years ago when I started podcasting. But now it really makes a big difference if you're going to start a podcast. If your podcast isn't doing really good and you want to, really make it something great, Instagram is really great for that. And so is Twitter. Places like Twitter, and I will include Facebook, are really great because you can just go ahead and share the link instantaneously on there and, say something. My new podcast just dropped and I want you guys to take a listen to it and let me know what you think. Always end with, a command. I want your feedback. Let me know what you guys think. Same thing on YouTube. If you are using Spreaker, your Spreaker podcast will load up on YouTube, which is great. And then you can leave a command. Ask your audience things that you want them to answer. And that's how you get people, invested in conversation. And you want their feedback. Let me know what you want me to talk about next, or let me know what you want me to film next. What kind of things do you want to see or want to hear on this channel? And it brings up a conversation. So now they feel like they're a part of the show, a part of the video, a part of the podcast. And that's another point that, is really important. Back in the day of Blog Talk Radio, for me, it was really important for me to end every show with, a conversation, because people could post comments. And there was also a chat room. And then I would always leave my email. And, it was constantly busy. People love to, send emails, or they love to leave comments so that you could answer them back. And, you could give them a shout out on your podcast. And they love that. They would leave their birthdays or anniversaries, or I would take the time out to ask questions on Facebook. And then I would go back and read those Facebook questions and turn that into a show. People thought that was really important, and that was a good thing when I used Facebook, which I don't anymore. But when I was on Facebook, that was a tool that I would use, and I find it really interesting to do that now on Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter, to have a conversation with people and go back and read what people say, and then turn that into a podcast, or turn that into something on YouTube, because people love it. They love to hear their name being called, and they love to hear their responses, because it makes them feel important. They just get so happy. And I can't believe she read my question. I can't believe he read my email, and it makes them, happy. And those are some of the things that really, it lets people know that this person is listening to me. They're taking me seriously. They don't just say they're reading my emails or my comments, but they really are. And you're building a fan base that, they're taking you seriously. That's a relationship, if you will. And so over the years, that's what I learned. And I learned a lot more than that, but I don't want to talk your ears off. But those were the most important things that stuck out to me, is, being aware of my cyber surroundings, and knowing that, The people that are listening, they're really, truly out there, and they're listening, and they want to know this stuff. And if your content has value, and it's important that you're going to build these cyber relationships that are important, and people are not going to leave you if you continue to do great work and to build great content, that they're waiting on it if you just stay consistent and continue to build your brand properly and continue to always put your fans and your cyber family first. Because without them, without your fans and without your cyber family, you really don't have a show. You don't have a podcast. You don't have a YouTube channel. You don't have any of this stuff. Without people, it's nothing. It's just a hobby. And so if you're interested in doing this as a career or a second stream of income, or, the income, the stream of income, these are some of the things that, you should definitely, listen to this podcast again and write this stuff down. And, practice makes perfect. That's the biggest thing that I can tell you, is that practice makes perfect. The first couple of times you do a podcast, don't think you're going to get it, straight off the bat, make a home run. Probably won't, but that's okay. The more you do it, the better you get at it. I was horrible my first couple of times, but it came natural to me. It's just like having a conversation, and you're giving out good content. You're giving out good information. You're adding a bit of your own life story to what you're telling people. You're being honest. You're being true to yourself. And, that's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. And you're authentically growing your own audience. Because, and everything is not for everybody. There's some stuff on the radio I don't listen to because it's not for me. So you have to remember, trying to get everybody, but there's somebody out there that's going to listen to you, or they're going to watch you on YouTube, or they're going to be drawn to you on social media because of who you are. So, your talent makes room for you because there's somebody out there who needs what you have. If your content is of value and you're putting your own authenticity into it, you're going to draw in who needs it. So, that's my advice. And like I said, I'm going to keep this series going for a little bit because I want to, give out the best information that I can and use my own experiences to help you guys grow. If you guys have any questions, you can definitely email me at twanateaches@gmail.com, TWANNA teaches@gmail.com. I am Twana Teaches all over the internet. You can hit me up on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and of course right here. And my email, one more time, is twanateaches@gmail.com. I want to hear from you. Let me know your questions, comments, or concern, and I will talk to you guys on another episode of Twana Teaches and Girl Boss Network. All right. I love you guys for listening in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.